Okay, so today I'm going to be describing a standalone meter. So a standalone meter is a meter that's associated with an account that is completely independent of the already existing account or accounts that are already at the property. So what we're looking at right here is called a single line. The single line represents a map of the entire way that the system is going to be built on somebody's site. So to be specific, so we're looking at right here, we've got the microinverters and panels, being that this is a microinverter system. So it's converting to AC power directly on the roof. So microinverters and panels goes right through the solar deck box, which basically is a box that gets installed on the roof surface that allows the wiring to pass into the attic. Basically from the solar deck box, it's going to pass either down through the building or out through a wall and down some conduit down to this combiner panel. This combiner panel will then go to a PV disconnect, so photovoltaic disconnect. That disconnect, will go directly over to the smart meter. Now, the smart meter will go to one more disconnect, and then that will tie into this meter that you see right here. So these two M's obviously represent meters. So the way this is drawn, this right here is the main panel for the home. This meter is our quote-unquote standalone. And it is standalone again because in this instance, this panel would be representing that, or this situation right here would be representing that of, say, a single-family residence where there is only one electrical account at the property. Now, with that said, this secondary service right here basically allows us to put power into the service cable and then out to the street. But this meter allows us to track this meter allows us to track, again, how much actually is going out. However, this is the meter that associates the account that the power is actually going to be registered with. Now, with a typical residential install, people don't use a standalone meter. So for instance, if you actually lived at the property or if the client rather lived at the property where they want the solar and they want the credits, they would just install a revenue grade meter, a net meter on their own account. So they wouldn't need a secondary service. But in this instance, this is designed for clients who either don't live at their residence, or at their property. So for instance, a multifamily property owner who has several different properties, they still want to put solar on, they still want the power, they want the credits. But they don't want, for instance, they don't want it to go to their tenants who are already paying the bill. That's kind of a broad overview of why this is needed, but this is the exact style that we're going to be installing. So again, with this, so you see this little box that we are showing right here represents a 2-gang meter socket. So if it is, say, a multifamily unit, there's 3 or 4 different accounts already at the property, basically this drawing would look slightly different, where there would be other extensions of this. So there'd be other meters tying in either to their own panels or potentially to the same panel. But basically it depends on how the actual property is wired. But again, the premise of the standalone is that the actual power coming from the solar system is not actually touching any of the equipment, or is not actually touching any of the bill tied to any of the previous accounts at the property. I hope that helps. If it doesn't, please feel free to reach out to myself or James, and we'll be able to get you set up and hopefully walk you through it a little further. Thanks so much. And also, this was my first video, so I hope this turned out okay.